Welcome to another DIY screen printing video. I've made a couple of videos in the past showing you my screen printing process and also how to make frames, but a question I get asked a lot is how to do multicolored screen prints with this DIY process. Now I'd highly recommend you watch this video showing you my process in full before this one because it's going to mean everything in this video will make a lot more sense, but today I'm going to show you how I do multicolored screen prints with this DIY method. So with screen printing you need to be able to separate out each color in your design, so the yellow and white in this print for example. In my video about t-shirt printing techniques I went into a lot more detail on this, but what it means for multicolored screen prints is that you need a separate frame for each color in your design. This is why if you get your design printed at a professional screen printing place it gets more expensive the more colors you have, because it's going to involve more time and more materials to set up a different screen for each color. I'll tell you now that with this DIY screen printing method you are more limited in the types of multicolored designs you can do, and I'll explain why. So this is a professional screen printing rig. This is what one looks like. They put each of the screens for your design on the rig in these bits here, then they put a t-shirt here and they print one color, lift the screen up, spin the rig around, pull the screen down and print the other color. Everything is very precise, so it's much easier to line the colors up and have them printed perfectly next to each other in a design like this, for example. But with DIY screen printing, it is not so easy. It's much more difficult to line things up because you don't have perfect screens or the handy rig that aligns things for you. So for multicolored DIY screen prints, I would advise not trying to print a design that requires the colors to have perfect alignment. That's why designs like this one here are perfect for DIY screen printing, because there's lots of space to move and it won't matter if the colors are a few millimeters off. So just try and keep that in mind when you're designing. Anyway, moving on. When you have your two screens and it's time to print, measuring is your best friend. You need to know exactly how big your final design with all of the colors is going to be, so that when you line up the first color on the t-shirt, you make sure there's enough room to print the other colors around or above it or wherever they go. So arrange the first screen on the t-shirt in a spot where you know you can fit everything else, and I generally start with the color that's up the top so I can get that top alignment right. Print that first color, then lift the screen off. The second color is definitely trickier because you can't shuffle the screen around to get it in the right place, else you're going to smudge the color that you've just printed underneath it. So with the second screen, I try to peer through it to see the design that I've just printed beneath and make sure I'm trying to put it in the right place. Then I put one edge down and slowly lower it, getting down really low to the print and looking underneath to make sure that it's going in the right place. You can see the light shining through your screen and that'll like cast a shadow on your t-shirt, so you should be able to see roughly where your design is going to end up. Once it's down, like I said, you don't want to move it around here because you're going to smudge the print underneath, so clamp it down carefully and print that color, then lift it off and leave it to dry before heat setting. So as you can see, the multicolored screen printing process isn't that much different from just printing one color, apart from you've got that slightly trickier step of aligning the second color. Hopefully now it makes sense why some multicolored designs are easier to print than others, but don't be put off by that constraint. Embrace it and just see what you can do with it, because constraints breed creativity and all that. As you will already know if you watched my screen printing process video, I have made a PDF instruction guide of the full screen printing process, from making the screens, exposing them, printing with them, etc. Then you can get access to that at the link down below if you haven't already, so check that out. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or found it useful. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're new to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!